Lame. I need a new gun. All right. So why did I start podcasting? What time is it now? 7:55. Okay. I started podcasting back before Retro Rewind podcast. I had this podcast called Dad's Voice Podcast. I don't think you can find it anymore because it pod faded, and I think the website doesn't work anymore. So I think the RSS feed doesn't work. So I think probably by now iTunes is like cut it off at the knees, which is fine. Other podcasts that focus on being a dad should definitely have the spotlight. Anyway, point being, me and Christy found out we were pregnant with our first child, our daughter, back in like 2011, and I'd been a fan of podcasts since 2006. Get out of the fire! Oh my gosh, what? I didn't realize that was a pit right there. Ugh, gosh, that's a brutal room. Anyway, I thought, you know what? I think I might have something to say about being a dad and having someone that's going to have a new experience as a dad. So maybe I'll try this. Maybe I'll try doing this podcast thing, as I just get hit by everything. And so I started a podcast where I interviewed pretty much just dads from my church, and my own had my own little take on like, okay, so this is sort of news in being a dad, as a geek or what have you. Oh my gosh, this is not going well, guys. This is really not going well. Spray and pray, literally. So I decided to do that, and it is nice, but is pretty much all on me to do. Christy would help me occasionally, but it was hard just having the whole load of it be on me and just drumming up the energy to do. So after 16 episodes, it just got to be I didn't have it in me to continue. But in the midst of that, me and Paul had started the Retro Rewind podcast, and I think I'm the type of person where I need someone to be playing off of to do a podcast and like continue doing it. The people that do podcasts just all on their own, man, that's amazing to me. But yeah, that's not the type of podcaster I am. And that's fine. That's the cool thing about podcasting. All types of people can podcast. But not all types of Franciscos can Gungeon effectively. My goodness. Psh, there it goes. Okay, so that's why I got into podcasting. Now to answer Dallas's question. Oh, cool. A new item has joined the shootout. Dallas's question was, how do you practically point people to Christ using your platforms? So I thought about this one, and that's a good question, Dallas. So first off, I'd say that the way I do it is through imaging God the best that I can, which is sort of specific to the platform I'm on. So I do it in different ways based on the platform. Let's see, Geek Devotions. You're really good at shooting off the hip, no pun intended, when it comes to your show. I like it. Regardless of whether it's a pun or not, I like it. But I think the expression is technically shooting from the hip, but I'll let that slide. Anyway, I'm just going to be the Marine again because he's kind of the easiest for me to control. He has a really good accuracy. So we'll just go with that. Anyway. So when it comes to, here's how I'm gonna tackle the platforms of podcasting and streaming, because that's where I think I really utilize two different mindsets or perspectives for imaging God. And what I mean by imaging is essentially like we're all made in the image of God, and we're image bearers of Him, but we're obviously all different people. And so I think some of us, I forget which passage in the Bible talks about. Jesus says that. Or maybe it's Paul talks about some are hands, some are feet, some are eyes. We're all part of the Voltron Power Rangers-esque body of Christ. Anyway, So how do I do it? Well, for when I'm podcasting, the main way I do it is by showing how I am in fellowship with other people, because I'm doing it face to face, voice to voice over Google Hangout. Certainly, ideally, it'd be in person, but since technology allows, at least for this substitute, via Google Hangout, it's voice to voice, face to face via video. And so being in fellowship with other people in that way, even when their opinions differ wildly from mine, I think it really shows how we're able to be in fellowship with one another. We don't all have to agree over every single thing. It's like, even when we have people that aren't believers on, I think me and Paul are still able to show, hey, we're not these crazy Christians that hate people that don't believe our ways. We want to love the people that are on, and we value you because you're people, you're human beings too. As I walk around this little area, which does me no good. Shootout. It's a shootout. So pretty much just having fellowship with other people. I think you especially see it when it's with other believers, because there's that common set of values. But even when it's people that aren't believers, I think we're able to show how I always want us to reflect or give a foretaste of what fellowship with other believers should really be like, and I really want us to model that in the podcast, regardless of what movie we're talking about. Now, when it comes to streaming, the facet I use for imaging God is actually one that I have trouble with doing in real life. Well, actually, no, I'll dial that back. It's one I have trouble doing with strangers in real life. But that is hospitality. And what I mean by that is when you guys come to the stream and you're watching, I mean, it's kind of similar to if you had someone invite you over to their house to hang out. And wouldn't that be cruddy if, like, let's say, hey, Dale, come over to my house. Let's hang out a bit. And you come over and I completely ignore you. I'm just like, yeah, there's some, the TV's over there. I'm doing this other thing. I mean, that's just, what? Why did you invite me over? And I mean, you guys are coming sort of on your own, but I'm opening the doors for people to come and hang out with me. So I really try to model hospitality and loving people by being hospitable and being warm and inviting for them to be here. And I really try to make each of you know that I value you, that this is, sure, we're all here because you're watching me stream, and that's sort of the catalyst for bringing us together. But I'm not the most important one here by any means. You each have your own stories, you each have your own lives that's going on, and this is just a connecting point for us. So I really want to show hospitality to anyone who comes to the streams so that they can enjoy themselves and enjoy what we're doing. So that's how I would say I practically point people to Christ. And it's not in a super literal way. Like, okay, so you need to know Christ right now. What is this? Mustache, a familiar face. But anyway, I'll check that in a second. That's how I would do it. So that was a great question, Dallas. So thank you so much for asking that. Let's see. And now Geek Devotion says, that's a really great mindset. Sadly, many Christians act like not hanging out with non-Christians at all is a sign of holiness, whereas it's not. Yeah, I totally agree. To be rude to non-Christians is to tell them that Jesus doesn't care about them. Absolutely. That is a great way of putting it. You're really hospitable. Oh, thank you, Dallas. / Geek Devotions, whatever your name is. That said, your character is pretty hostile on screen. Indeed. Dale, do people in your neighborhood or hometown aware of your podcast? Some are. Hometown. Okay, so I do a bit of my vanity. I sort of daydream of the moment where someone like spots me on the street around here and says, "Hey, do you do a podcast? Are you Francisco from the Retro Rewind podcast?" I sort of daydream about, I'm going to like hug that person, say, "Oh my gosh, it's so great that you listen. Oh, hey, let's get a selfie," and do that whole shtick. That's my daydream. It may never happen. Some people have. Paul has a great story about this though. And next time he's here for a stream, I'll share it, and that way he can fill in some of the details that I might be missing. But he was recognized because of his voice from the podcast, and oh man, was so thrilled when I heard it. But I would like a little bit of that for myself. I honestly don't think I'm stop it. I don't think I'm envious of that. I love that he got that bit of not notoriety, but fame. I think it'd be cool to have the same thing as well. But if it never happens, that's fine. I'm glad I get to do a show with my best friend. So that's really what it's about. Anyway, so people from my church know. Some people in my community group from church know. But I don't think any of them have ever. I mean, you guys would probably know sooner than I did if they came in to watch me stream. I don't think they have. Though I know some people from church listen to the podcast, so that's cool. And apparently one of my brothers, puts on the podcast to fall asleep too, which is fine. I'll take that down low. But it's like, okay. Let's see.